Great, thank you. All right, thank you everyone for joining our continuing Acumatica webinar series. Today we're going to go over manufacturing. We're going to go over the core modules at somewhat of a high level. There's a lot to do deep dives on, and there's actually quite a bit to cover at a high level. So we're gonna stay in that zone for today. So what I want to do is point out some of the features from the data sheets from each of the three different modules. So the three different modules that make up the core of the manufacturing edition are bill of materials, production management, and MRP, or material requirements planning. I just want to go through some of them, not just read off the data sheet, but go through some of the items that are key and that we'll cover today. So looking at a data sheet for the bill of material, just want to point out some of these. So the bills of material have effective dates when they're active, when they expire. We define the production steps, all the steps that it takes to produce a product, and the order that they're supposed to be produced in. Phantom bombs, we're gonna touch upon that when we look at the stock item and its definitions, with a bomb that will be used in production and a phantom bomb that's also associated to the stock item, and briefly touch on when that is useful. Multi-site, so we can have different bombs for different warehouses or different manufacturing locations. So we have the ability to do that. We can copy the bomb, so we have a flexible copy option. Just take a bomb, copy it, and make a minor tweaks as needed for a new bomb. And also we have revision control to maintain all the different iterations of a bill of material from inception, throughout its life. Next, the second of the three core modules is production management. We have labor tracking, material tracking, and back flushing. So we're going to go through back flushing today, but what that'll do is basically push back all of the labor and material that was consumed throughout the process and journal generate to make the financials whole. We have another option to say, instead of back flushing, we can enter in the specific labor amounts, the specific material amounts along the way. So the two different options of how to record the effects on the general ledger of a bill of material as it goes through its production steps. Production performance. So we'll see that we can, on a single screen, as well as in reporting, we'll be able to see plan versus actual versus variances on an individual production order basis. Event audit trail. So we're also going to see a full listing of all the activities, including the general ledger effects of a production order, and lot serial tracking. So inventory is needed to support the manufacturing edition, and inventory supports lot and serial tracking and carries over into the manufacturing edition. The third of the core modules, third of the three core modules in the manufacturing edition is material requirements planning, or MRP, a well-known acronym in the manufacturing industry for that. Just a couple of details on that. One is forecasting. So we have the ability to have calculated and manually entered forecasts to determine future needs, as well as an MRP detail. So we're going to look upon this towards the end of the demonstration today, but basically is a nice, I like to think of it as a dashboard that shows, hey, here are all the different items that are queued up for requiring a purchase, requiring a transfer, or requiring a build manufacturing process. We'll take a look at that MRP detail towards the end of the demonstration today. So that's the highlights, more or less, of the features of the three different core modules that we'll be focusing on today. I'm going to get into the software. So I want to start with going to one of our dashboards. So if you've been on some of the manufacturing webinars or Acumatica webinars before, we've gone through some of these flow diagrams, one for finance, one for distribution, as a couple examples, one for CRM. We're going to go look at the manufacturing flow dashboard. So these flow diagrams basically lay out the business processes that Acumatica supports, and in this case, in the world of manufacturing. And these are also interactive as well. So we hover over like sales order, for an example, click on it, and we get into the sales order entry screen as we're looking at here. And a little bit slow today. There we go. I'm going to come back to the flow. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through a make to order scenario today, and this depicts it pretty well. So customer places a sales order. The sales order has one or more items that need to be manufactured. So we create the sales order for the customer for the sale and produce a production order off of it. Then we release that production order, consume materials, labor, apply some movements along the way, consume all the, from inventory, reference the bill of material to direct what we're going to be consuming, any tools and machines that are associated to the bill of material process, yield finished goods, put that back into inventory, ship it out to the customer. Then we have a little bit of a diagram here showing the ability to create schedules and forecasts in the MRP module, and then some of those can be turned into purchase requests that then also yield raw materials being accumulated in inventory as well. So just a little bit of a flow. Today we're going to go through the make to order, which is starting with a sales order and creating a production order off of it and seeing that through the end. All right. So with that said, I want to go into a little bit of the reporting that we have out of the production orders workspace. The first one I want to do is look at a production summary report. And here we're seeing, so we create production orders, and here are the numbers for those production orders. We see the inventory that's being created. If it was sourced from a sales order, we see that and the status of that all in this production summary report. And you can see also we got some basically lines here that you could print this off and start and have this be a sheet that gets passed around to mark items that are completed in the production cycle as well as scrapped throughout. So I wanted to show one of those reports there for you. Another one is the production order performance report. So again, we're looking at a production order, then we're seeing all that is associated to creating that product, all labor, any machines, any materials, tools, overheads that are applied, and also along the way, what of those particular components that go into manufacturing an inventory item, what is planned, what is actual, and the variance. So those are a couple of good useful reports out of the production orders workspace that I just wanted to highlight. From here, we'll go into a little bit of the setup of us. We're going to look at a stock item here. I'm going to look at a printed circuit board. So we start off with creating a stock item and want to go through some of the details and then linking that to the manufacturing process. So underneath general settings here, we can designate, hey, is this product a component part? Is it a finished good? Is it a sub-assembly? So we have that option. It's, as we do out of the box with inventory, there's that support for lot numbering and serialization of the products. Same out of the box, out of inventory. But now with the manufacturing edition included within the suite, we have this manufacturing sub-tab, and here's some of the guts of it. So underneath replenishments, this replenishment section, we designate what's the source of this item. So we are saying we need to manufacture this item. That's the source of it. Likewise, we could say this is designated to be purchased as opposed to us making it, and we have a few other options here as well. So this one is designated as source of being a manufactured item within the company and designated as such. Set up a safety stock, min-max order quantities, and then we also have a lot size. So if we say have this lot size the same, but let's say it was a lot size of 4, just as a for example, and we said, hey, we got an order for 5 of these. This basically designates the increments that we need to manufacture this product in. So if we had an order of 4, great, lot size is 4, crate 4. If we had an order of 5, well, that's one more than 4, so we need to go in increments. So we'll manufacture a quantity of 8. We're going to create two lots of 4 of this. So just little bit of a difference between using a lot sizing and the min-max parameters of the inventory item. Underneath the general section here, so here's our default bill of material ID. Drill down into it. And this is really providing all the instructions for what the production order that's going to be generated and work against. So this particular item, I'm going to go through a little bit here. We have the inventory item, that stock item that we've been looking at. This particular bill of material is designated for this particular warehouse. So that's one of those features of the bill of material module, that we can designate a bill of material by individual location where we manufacture. Have the effective start and end dates here. We can track revisions of the same bill of material, give a letter designation here, a letter of A. In this middle section, these are the production steps. So this is one of the more simpler bills of material that would probably be encountered by any organization. So there's a assembly step, and then there's basically a final assembly step. When we look at each of the different steps, we see that we designate setup time, we designate run time, machine time, and then maybe some queuing up. This is basically like kind of like a delay between step A and step B here. We can designate back flushing labor and scrap options, which are there's no action to take, or when we have scrap, we write it off, or we quarantine it. So a lot of different configuration values there, but we want to dive into it too deeply, but show that we're designating these times and how to handle back flushing of labor and scrap on each of the individual production steps, which is what these are. Down below, for each of these production steps, we see some more details. So for this assembly operation, we're saying for this printed circuit board, we're going to pull in an inventory item of a circuit board, quantity of 1 of those, and then inventory item of resistors, quantity of 4 of those. Then we have our designated unit cost, the planned costs associated to it as well below here. Under steps, this is basically informational. So what is this production step really entail? Place resistors as shown on a drawing, and we have a drawing associated to the production step up above here, work instruction sample, and then here's all the information that is needed to go ahead and make that production step complete. Come back here. Tools, any tools that are associated to this production step can be defined here, quantity of them and applied a cost, as well as overhead. So for this particular step, we've got some administrative overhead, a fixed amount, and we'll generate that through, in this case, a back flushing. So that's kind of quite a bit on the drilling down into the bill of material there. I want to go back. Let me take this a step back too. So we've got a second final assembly step. Don't have any materials. We're just designate a little bit more overhead on that step as well. And then what we're going to do at the end of the production order process is select that to back flush and complete the production step. We do have work centers associated to each of these production steps. I wanted to bring that up. So there in the work center, we're also designating a scrap action default. We're setting a standard cost for the work assembly. What are the shifts? What are the crew sizes? So 1 person per each shift, and we can associate machines just as we do tools to the production step, machines to the work center that's associated to it. Also, these work centers they cross over different bills of materials. So we're looking at one, but this work center is associated to 5 different bills of material as well. So that's just a little bit of a peek into the details behind the work center that's behind the production step of the bill of material. I'm going to go back to the stock items. So we've got this default bill of material associated to it, and then we can also designate a separate planning bill of material. So this option is used for forecasting items of stock, and really the use case for this is when the bill of material, it has exchangeable parts that are hard to forecast from. So we could say if we look, let me go back to that bill of material here for a moment. If we had, like, say, two different types of resistors, and depending on the request on the sales order, we only pick one, we can use a planning bill of material, apply some percentages, if you will, say, hey, 60% of the time resistor A is chosen in producing the product, and 40% of the time resistor B is chosen. And that's going to help forecast the future needs for getting those components stocked before having to produce the printed circuit board through the default BOM. So just a little bit of quite a bit of a difference between the default bill of material for a stock item and the planning bill of material. So with all that said, what we want to do is we're going to get into the actions here of a make to order. And I just, again, want to note that we're going to go through a make to order process. So creating that sales order, generating the production order off of it, and working it. We could also have a make to stock scenario where we produce these products, and it's not for a customer order. We're just stocking up, as well as a configure to order, which comes with a lot of variations, and also a configurator that's not part of this demo today. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and start with our make to order scenario, creating a sales order. I'm going to choose a customer.
Tom, your mic cut out just a little bit there.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, just a second ago.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Let me know if it happens again.
Will do.
Yep. All right. So in this make to order scenario, so we're creating a sales order. We're gonna select that item that we were just looking at, the printed circuit board. Let's say the customer needs 5 of them. I'm going to go ahead and save that. Okay. We got a little bit of a warning here, saying, hey, updating the item. There's 0 in the warehouse. Wholesale quantity available will go to negative. That's fine because we're going to create a production order to satisfy the sales order. So that's actually fine in this case. May not be a great real life scenario that, hey, it's probably good to have some stock available instead of having to make on the fly. But that's a warning that's not going to prevent us from moving on with the production order. So just created a sales order, pretty standard one-line item, and this has the bill of material that we just looked at associated to it. So from the actions menu, we go ahead and we create a production order, choose the item, create it. And now we see the production order stamped right onto the line item here. So from there, we're going to drill down into that production order and start working it. So in this general section, the quantity to produce, that's the full 5 that was entered onto the sales order. I'm going to move into the references section here. Here we see the sales order number, the line on the sales order that this item is coming from, and some accounting defaults along with it, as well as who the customer is for that sales order. And then also I wanted to note on the source here, so we're showing the bill of material ID that we were just looking at, the version of it, or the BOM revision, which there's only one, so that's that letter A that we saw on the bill of material there. So we have all these references of, like, where did this production order come from? It came from a sales order, and what are we using to basically drive the production of it? Here's the bill of material called out on this tab here. And then this totals sub tab. So this is called looking at that report of showing the plan versus actual versus variance. So here's the screen that's tracking it on an individual production order basis and showing those exact same details as well. So just wanted to show a little bit of the details on the production order that just got created from the sales order. From here, we go through actions and releasing the order. So now we're releasing it to produce upon it. And from here, then now that we've released it, go into inquiries and production detail. And so all those details that we saw from the bill of material are basically inherited here, all those BOM details. So we have the production steps set up, all the different material steps, tools, overhead, everything down below here, and that's basically how it gets created, nice and simple there. If we go back into the production order, under reports, we have a production ticket. And now that production ticket, that's showing those two steps, that assembly step and then that final assembly step. And this could be printed off and be used in the warehouse. Say, hey, we're pulling the 5 circuit boards that are needed for the 5 of the finished product, as well as remember we have 4 per, if I'm doing my math right, 4 resistors per printed circuit board. 4 times 5 is 20. And so we have that production ticket available directly off of the production order underneath this reports menu. So we can use that. I'm going to close this out, and from here we can go and complete this production order So just want to show how to bring this from beginning to end. So we go back into our production orders workspace. I want to note that we're going to use back flushing. So here are these transactions where we could manually add labor, we could manually add materials along the way. But now we're saying, hey, we're at a point where we've completed putting together these 5 circuit boards, so we can we can select a move transaction, and from there select a particular production order. I got the right one. There we go. 28. Put in the full quantity, saying, yep, we created the full quantity, and I almost skipped that step. So here are the 2 operation numbers. Here's that first step of assembly, the second step of final assembly. Select that. Go ahead and save it. And now release the hold, or get rid of the hold, and then release that move transaction. So from there, we see we got that move transaction completed. We selected the last operation. So now if we go back to the production order, we'll see that that's completed. And then actually, I want to go back to that production order again. So here's that event history that we discussed from that we looked at from the key features here. So we're seeing like, hey, here's production order was created, the sales order, it was released, and now we're seeing the result of that move transaction doing the back flushing. We look at our general ledger batch number. Now we're seeing fixed overhead being pushed into the general ledger as a result of that back flushing via the move transaction that we just selected. So that's where we've taken a sales order, we created a production order off of it, released it, and marked it as complete via that move transaction. Had it update the GL accordingly. Look at the planned and actuals. Now we got some actuals for the quantities that were selected, and are seeing some variances along the way as well. So it's pretty much like the high skip from sales order to completing the production order, and basically that's it. So that's everything. Again, we want to go back to the manufacturing flow, just to cover that one more time. Created the sales order, production order, released it, pulled material, made our move transaction, have the finished goods, and then we could go ahead and open up the sales order and fulfill it at this point, and ship the product to the customer. So that's the production process at a very high level and very quick pace. I'm going to show also the material requirements planning of the MRP module. So we're going into that workspace now, and want to select this MRP display. This is what I was referring to earlier. It's kind of like the MRP, like an MRP dashboard in a sense here, where via forecasting and via setting up those values, like those min-max quantities, those lot size quantities, we can generate these basically queued up transactions to say, hey, these items are queued up to be purchased to fulfill our inventory. They are queued up to be manufactured as we walk through a process of producing an item with a production order, and there it can be like a designator for transfer. So that's that source that we looked at this on the stock item, along with the parameters, basically queuing up and generating. And we could say, hey, select them all and just do all the purchases in one swoop, do all the manufacturing production order creations in one swoop, do all the transfers in one swoop as well. So just wanted to show that and feel that that's a good, nice, powerful tool when there's a volume of items that need to take action all at once here. So just wanted to show that, and that's basically all we've got today. So very high level. I feel like it's very fast. You know, there are 3 modules that come with that manufacturing edition. Wanted to touch upon all 3 of those. I suggest if you have any questions, we can provide that information for you. Also, some suggestions if you're interested in some deep dives. We'd like to get those ideas from you as well, so we can queue up some additional webinars down the road and get a little bit more into the meat of the manufacturing edition. More of the intricate calculations, if you will, example for back flushing, or even going through making the manual labor and move transactions that we could opt to do instead of back flushing as well, just as a couple of examples. But that's what we've got to cover today. Touch upon those three manufacturing edition modules: the bill of material module, the production management module, and the MRP module. Hope you find that useful. Look at it as potential use for your organization, and that's about wraps it up.
Thanks for watching. To learn more about our products, visit www.crestwood.com. Hope to see you there soon.